Okay, I sent it to the live stream and it's probably picking us up already. I'm looking at Substack now to see,
Awesome.
and we're live.
We are live.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Colin. How are you? I think you had a different guest last time you were on office hours.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button and I muted you, so I have no idea what you said.
I said I think you showed up with a different guest last time on
Oh,
office
yes.
hours.
Yes, he was begging to be your permanent replacement, and I said, "No, I just can't do that to Melissa.
Not
She's too
happening.
good."
I'm gonna have to hunt him down and send him a
He
message.
was
Say,
very popular, though. I think we'll have him back at some
I
point.
know my feelings are a little hurt. It's all good though, and
Well,
it's
it's
good to
good.
be
It's
back.
good to have you back, and
Thank
welcome everyone to Office Hours. Thank you for joining us or watching us on replay. It looks like we have Simon Gentry, so welcome, Simon. He's here
you.
with us
Welcome.
live, he or she. Um, where do you want to start today, Melissa?
Oh man, okay. I think we actually had some questions ahead of time that people asked. So why don't we go ahead and start with those questions first, and then if anybody joins us and has anything, feel free to drop it in the chat as well. But I know we had a author question about maximizing BookFunnel and its usage, kind of for bringing people into your funnel and how to get started on that. So first of all, do you use BookFunnel for history through fiction regularly? So what's kind of the capacity that you use it from a publisher's perspective?
I do, but let's back up a little bit because that was from Jill George. Thank you for the question, and the way she worded it was like the top of your funnel. So maybe could you
Okay.
start out by telling people what that
Yeah,
means?
absolutely. So I'll explain BookFunnel as well for anyone that maybe doesn't have a clue what BookFunnel even is. Um, so BookFunnel is a site that you go to, and it was created kind of with this idea of funneling people in. So if you're familiar with sales, you kind of have your wide funnel where you're introducing people to you, and then you're bringing them in until you create a sale from them. But it's a place where you can load files of books. So it used to be when it started out kind of more like a free chapter, bonus sort of things. And then now a lot of people use it for everything from books for sales to audiobooks. It has tons more capability at this point, but essentially it's like a file holder that gives you an easy way to deliver it to people. So they want to get your book, audiobook, whatever. They give their email address, and then it imports it to your email provider or holds it for you to import yourself. And it kind of makes that transaction really smooth, easy process for people. I know now they have created more around direct sales and that sort of thing, but today we'll just kind of touch on more the book to providing their email kind of funnel process that happens.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of ways to use BookFunnel. First of all, Jill is here, so welcome, Jill. Thank
Welcome,
you.
Jill.
Uh, and I use it in a couple of specific ways. I definitely put every single title that we publish, I upload onto BookFunnel and I create a landing page where you can deliver the ebook. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but it can be downloaded in a variety of formats, which is really slick because whether it's KDP or Nook or the PDF, whatever the user wants, they can download it in their preferred format. Plus, the landing page, it just looks nice and professional. And so it's good public facing way for me as a publisher or someone as a publicist or the author to reach out to a bookseller, a potential reviewer, an ARC reader, and deliver that ebook in a really nice way. So I do use it for that. Now, you can change the settings on your landing page, whether or not there is the email capture or not. I usually don't use that email capture. And the reason I don't is because it's too hard for me to keep track of where everyone is coming in from. And I just want to get ARCs out to readers. So I keep my email capture to just my pop-up and my website and things like that. There's also the author swaps, which I have used in the past and I find are extremely good at expanding your audience with other authors that are writing similar genres as you. The reason I don't use it as much is because of just the administrative part of it is a bit of it's a lot to keep track of and to make sure that you're putting together your newsletter and actually participating in the swap. But also, I send out enough newsletters as it is, and I don't want to overwhelm my audience. And so I haven't been using it that much lately, but I do think it's very useful to growing your newsletter list through author swaps.
Absolutely. So that's probably the most common way that people think of it since its inception is for utilizing it kind of this group setting with other authors and maximizing your reach for your newsletters. So there's these groups that you'll join, you select what type of genre you're writing in. One of the things I see as a frequent misstep that people have is they get so excited and they want to grow their list. So they're joining all these promo groups that don't align with their book. You want readers that are going to read the books that you're writing and that you're continuing to write. So be super selective. And occasionally I have people that have something that just doesn't have the right fit, maybe for the promos that we're seeing, and you can create your own promos. So maybe take the extra step to ensure that you are finding the right readers, and put your own promo up there and then give people to gather. And so then what the promo does is it's created, BookFunnel actually started doing their own now that they host. So we'll say you have historical fiction set in the 1800s, you create a promo for that. And then a whole group of other authors that have some sort of freebie created with a book in that setting, then joins the promo, gives you a little graphic. You put that in your newsletter with a sign up link, and then people can grab whatever books they want to from that landing page for free for signing up for their email. So I think, Jill, to your question, the first and best way to use it is just to expand your audience and grow your newsletter through having your book be out there with other readers to see. Sometimes if you maybe aren't seeing something as well, talk to other writers that you know, because they might be interested in joining it. Maybe they just haven't seen promos either, and you can put together your own group of people on there also. And then I think capturing, like you have it on the website for History Through Fiction as a pop-up, but just promoting it in other places as well, so that people that maybe aren't on a newsletter yet can see it on social media. Put the link in your bio on your socials and let people know, like, grab a free story, lead magnet, see if you can collaborate with somebody and share it on there. And BookFunnel's like doing all that work for you and creating the pretty landing page and making it really easy for people to grab. And it looks, as you said, professional. It's easy for them to pick their own format and do it on there. I did want to add, for Jill, another way that I have a couple clients that use it, also is because we kind of make this assumption that people are seeing us, that they're probably seeing us on social media everywhere, that they're signed up for our newsletter. Like, we feel like we're everywhere, so we assume that the readers think the same thing, but it's just not the case. So a few of my authors, they actually create bonus epilogues or cutscenes or whatever these other resources that they have, and they'll put a link in the back of their books for people to click, sign up for their newsletter, and to grab that as well. So you're kind of capturing somebody that's already read your book in a different way. So this isn't going in the promos, but you're still utilizing BookFunnel to grab people that have already shown interest. They're reading your book. They can click or scan a QR code to then grab that free extra resource.
Yeah, excuse me. It's a really easy way to create a lead magnet so that you can put on social media or on your website pop-up, grab a free chapter. You don't have to upload your whole book. You can upload just a chapter or two or a short story or some other kind of resource. And I've actually been using it for an audiobook excerpt. Now, to actually upload a full audiobook on there, they require a pretty significant price increase. So I haven't done that, but I can still put one chapter of an audiobook up as an excerpt, and that's been really nice to be able to do that.
I would say I think it works well for audio because hearing the narrator is so important. It's a bit of a like older model to give people a couple of chapters because it is so easy to get free stories now online, and people are giving away like full versions. So I kind of warn people against doing that like at least create a free short story maybe to give people that full story arc and they can really get into your writing. But when you kind of give them that cliffhanger little bit and then it's like, oh, now you need to buy, they feel cheated a little bit in today's bookish world, and how we typically see things being handled. So just word of caution around that.
I should say hello to Lisa Oakley. She joined us, and Jill
Hello,
George says,
Lisa.
fantastic. I wondered how the landing pages link to others, and now I kind of get it. I have a mid-author package. Is that what I need?
Yeah, so
Go
that
ahead.
one automatically will integrate for you, I believe. So that makes it where you don't even have to think about it. So say you have MailerLite as your email provider, BookFunnel automatically takes them, and every time someone subscribes, they show up on there. I haven't, and I should hate to miss this, I haven't used it with Substack yet. So I don't know how that process works. But otherwise, if you go with the cheaper package, it just creates it in a CSV file for you. It's not that difficult to take the file and to load it to whatever provider you might be with. So I know some people do prefer to have that little bit of savings between, but if you are rapidly adding people to your list and you're sending out frequently, it might be worth the money to just not have to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know you could integrate it with your newsletters platform. I'm guessing it doesn't because I use Squarespace newsletters. I don't think it integrates with that, but I do get the CSV spreadsheet.
It might not integrate with everything, and it does make it easy. Like you were saying, you don't know where people are coming from. We could really get technical, and I actually have like ways that will create different landing pages for different people, so then we can analyze like where the majority of their subscribers are coming in from. We can get into a whole other
Okay.
thing that I won't bore people with today.
There's an additional paywall for that information, people.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's talk briefly about Goodreads because Jill also asked about that. And I don't use Goodreads other than Goodreads giveaways, but I know there's all kinds of tools on there, like the groups and the forums and I know there's communities, and I actually have seen authors who will like pin a review to the top of their book, and I think that's a good way to communicate with readers and kind of bring them into your community. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yes. So I don't use Goodreads that much with my authors. Like it lives in its own world. The main thing I was going to say is the giveaways. I do have authors that will run giveaways. So what happens with that is you purchase and Goodreads was bought out by Amazon, so it changed a bit with that process. But you purchase the giveaway, and then in order to enter, people have to put the book on their shelf, their Goodreads shelf, and that's the hope that they see it on their shelf and it kind of brings it to top of mind, and then they end up buying it and reading it if they don't win the giveaway. So I've seen kind of so results with it lately, and I don't know, maybe you can speak to this, but I had someone recently that did it, and it said you have to be a Prime member now in order to even run a Goodreads giveaway. So I've kind of just been slowly like setting Goodreads to the side. And I view it as a form of social media now that you really need to be interacting on there and be a part of the groups and be reading and all that. So most of my clients tend to spend their time elsewhere on Goodreads, and the reviews can be so harsh on there that they tend to not want to go see
Hmm.
what's happening in Sphere. So not my area of expertise.
Yeah. There are a lot of alternatives available right now. Maybe we can speak about those another time. I'd have to look into them. But
Yes.
I actually bought a Goodreads giveaway this morning,
Oh,
and I'm not a Prime member, and it didn't say anything.
I wonder if they had a lot of pushback. This was probably about 4 or 5 months ago-ish. And she was really surprised and it was
Hmm.
off-putting. So we didn't pursue it any further. So maybe that was just a brief lapse in Amazon's judgment that they would force people to get a Prime
Hmm.
membership in order to subscribe on there for a
And,
giveaway.
and FYI, for anyone who's watching us live, we actually have two Goodreads giveaways up right now. One for
Oh,
Exalted Objects by Jane D. Carnes, and one for Circus of the Vanishing Elephant by Tim Schooley. Those both end today. Both of them got over 3,000 people that are interested. So I like the Goodreads giveaways, even though you don't capture the email information. Does get people to add your book to their list, and it does at least get some attention and some reviews out of it. I don't know how much it can really help your funnel though.
I think you can't really quantify how they do. It's just, maybe something you consider to adding into the mix for visibility, but it could be a slow trickle of sales that you see from that in the long run.
I want to say hello to Brandon. He did join. I don't know if
Hello,
he's actually
Brandon.
listening to us, but he joined. And oh, Brandon says, I think you need a bigger wall behind you, Colin.
Yes.
So he's bringing up the fact that I just put some new posters up. So I have all different kinds of free and Circus of the Vanishing Elephant, Exalted Objects, The Death of Driftwood. Those are our forthcoming titles. And yes, I'm out of space. Um, but it's nice to put new titles up there and there's some visibility since I'm on camera so often.
I just left you a comment on TikTok from I think it was your
Okay.
yesterday video saying you're running out of wall space behind you. So
Well, and actually I had three of them, four of them on the ceiling, but I took them down from the ceiling and moved them to the wall. So yeah, I
it
don't need a
looks
bigger
very nice.
wall. I need a bigger frame.
There you go.
Uh, and let's see, Elisa asks, do you have a digital list for each of these ideas? So she's looking for some resources around maybe BookFunnel or some of these things that you're talking about for growing your funnel.
No, but we can definitely create that
Yeah.
specifically for maybe BookFunnel, and then, as you said, some Goodreads, and there are a few other platforms that are definitely up and coming. Some are more established than others, so we could definitely speak to that too and give a little bit of thoughts around it. Um, but yeah, I'd be more than happy to create something around like really how to utilize BookFunnel at different points in time in your journey growing as an author.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you, Lisa. Melissa and I were just talking about that before we came on, about the resources where we are adding to the Working Writer, which we're launching next month, which I'm talking with you about tomorrow. You being Lisa, I'm
Lisa,
talking to
yes,
Lisa.
you already talked to me about it. I'm informed.
Okay, well, we had another question from Katie Glyer. Katie has a couple Substacks. I'm sorry, Katie, I can't remember the names of them, but she is a historical fiction writer and like an herbalist, and she's working on, I think, her debut, and it's historical fiction. It's a dual timeline set in the Northeast during the American Revolution, and she is doing a lot over there on Substack, and she's talking about her writing process. She just posted a video yesterday or the day before where she's talking about all the things that the challenges of writing and publishing her novel, and she's wondering how much should she actually share and how much should she hold back about the writing process, about her characters, about the plot, because an author, I mean, they can go on to Wattpad, and you can
Oh yeah.
publish it chapter by chapter and show everyone the whole story as you're working on it, or you can hold back and just try to create some anticipation. Like, what are your thoughts on how much she should be sharing?
So I have two different perspectives on it. One, I'll talk about, I have a client that actually does this on Substack, and she publishes a chapter a week, and then she releases the book as a whole. And it has not impacted her sales, and she actually makes money on Substack releasing. People like to kind of read along the journey. And then she does kind of a final edit. So there might be changes that happen, but they're kind of seeing the story play out as it goes, and then she's publishing the full book when it's ready as well. So I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer. One thing that I did want to say from a reader's perspective that I find off-putting when I see from an author as they're talking about part of the process is them saying that they've reached a point and they realize that their book is a mess or that the plotting is off, or they talk about these huge issues and like, oh, I'm gonna have to go back and redo everything, and it kind of gives me the like ick of they don't feel confident in their own writing. Like I know that when I see someone say, oh, they're trying to figure out a plot point that they're stuck on, like that happens to everybody. But then when they tell me like the book is a disaster and they have to go back and fix all these things, I kind of feel like, are you sure about what you're doing? So to me, as someone looking at it from a reader's perspective, I wouldn't be pointing out huge flaws that you see in your own work. Like, take me along for the ride, get me excited about the setting, the time period, the characters, give me little glimpses, but don't completely immerse me in the world ahead of time or tell me the fails that are happening along the way. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't share anything that you can't backtrack on. And some of that will be really valuable later on, like once you land an agent or a publisher and you can actually talk about you were stuck at such a plot point and you had to go back and revise, like that's going to be really valuable later on for people to see how much you went through. But I think while you're in the middle of that, you want to keep it kind of close to the vest. And I think it is valuable to share the things that aren't going to be changing. Like the overall theme and plot is probably set, that the names of your characters, their ages and their backgrounds, like that kind of stuff, I think is pretty well set. And I think people definitely want to know about your process. Katie was talking about using Scrivener and another platform that organizes your thoughts, and she's going to talk more about that. Like that's really interesting, and she's going to Boston soon to do some research. I think all of that you can feel comfortable sharing and without revealing too much or making anyone feel like you've given away too much or like you don't know what you're doing. Right now I'm drafting a novel, and I would not feel comfortable putting first draft material on the internet because it's
Yeah,
just so raw and unedited. But I do feel comfortable just talking about what I'm doing and sharing those steps of the process. And I think as a publisher looking at like seeing what Katie or what some other authors are doing, like that, I want to be, I'm interested in that. And that kind of gives a leg up during that submission process. And I wrote about this before, that get to know, get to build your network, get to know your agents, get to know your publishers like before you're ready, not by reaching out and saying, hey, would you be interested in this, by just continuing to show who you are and what you're working on. And maybe a publisher out there will take an interest in that and then be really excited when you are ready to submit.
absolutely. I would encourage balance. So maybe 30%, not going over that, of the writing process itself, because sometimes I see clients that I start working with and they've been so focused on sharing on social media the writing part of the process, and that's not bringing in the readers. It can feel very technical side of things heavy, but it is interesting to a certain group of people. So talking about it, maybe talking about the challenges, maybe talking about finding the time to write in your busy schedule, like things that can still be a little relatable, but not getting into like so technical heavy that like somebody that just wants to read your book doesn't really care about your, I don't know, what insert random writing thing that people do, that's like very technical or editing heavy or things like that. And I do think historical fiction writers have a unique advantage for posting online, because you do have like the research that goes into it. And the time periods that people are excited about. So there's a lot of world building and time period researching that you can bring people into without having to get too focused on the details of your book until you know what your setting is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, so Jill had some comments. She said serial sharing and commercializing, that's what Victorians did. She says the issue can be if another author has a similar book in the works, then it gets dicey, but it can work to your benefit figuring out how your book differs from the other authors and make sure they don't overlap.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Thomas Maltman, he's a Minnesota author, and I went to one of his events last summer, and he's writing a book related to the one that I'm writing now about the same character, the same historical figure. But I don't really concern myself with it. He doesn't do a lot of stuff during his writing process. He doesn't post a lot. So actually have to reach out to him to see where he's at with that. But our thoughts, our imaginations differ so much that even though it's the same historical figure, I think the stories won't align in many other ways other than that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you look at even like great historical figures and you go search a biography of them, and there's like, 12 biographies on the shelf about, George Washington that different people have written and researched in different ways and shared their own opinions. So I don't think people need to overly worry about that from the creative sense.
Yeah. Well, we have just a few minutes left. We do have another question from Lisa. I also want to welcome Dr. Lacey Hull. She just joined us, so
Welcome.
welcome. And Jill adds, Jillian Forsberg is writing a book around Marie Antoinette, and I am too. So I reached out to her, and she only names my character once. So
Yeah,
Jill is agreeing with you, Melissa.
perfect.
So Lisa says, what are your thoughts about Goodreads reviews that share so much of the book they read? It feels like it can take away from those who want to read it. Now, those do have automatic spoilers in
Yes,
there.
that's
I
what I was
know
going
that
to
because every time I am researching for a podcast, I click, yes, give me the spoiler. I want to see it.
Yeah, I think it's again something that the author gets overly paranoid about. I've never read a spoiler of a book and thought like, oh, now I don't want to read it because it spoiled the plot. Like if it's a good book, I still want to have the experience of reading the book. Um, Unless it's, some crazy plot twist that was completely ruined, but I haven't had that happen yet. But like I want the experience, so the few paragraphs on Goodreads aren't going to ruin it for me. And yes, you can kind of do that hide and report and stuff like that to hide the spoilers from people.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think it's common courtesy if you're writing a review to make sure you note in there when a spoiler is coming, and most reviewers do that. And then I think when they do share a spoiler, it's probably using some automation to kind of hide that so that it doesn't show up. So I agree. I don't think it's much of a concern. I also, just because I read a spoiler on a Goodreads review, wouldn't then not read the book. If I'm interested in the book, I'm still going to be interested in it even after reading a spoiler.
Yes. People tell me whole plots of books, and I'm like, don't worry, I'm not going to remember by the time I get around to it, so it's fine.
Well, with just a couple minutes left, should we just talk about what we've been working on with the working writer?
Absolutely.
Um, so yeah, we've been talking about this now for about a month or maybe a little bit more, and so we're getting excited because it's getting really close to being ready. Um, it's on Circle. It's going to be a community for writers to get together, do writing sprints, encourage each other, find collaborators and people that you share interests with and can encourage and get encouragement back and those sorts of things.
Absolutely. We've been working on it longer than a month. I just want to say that,
Um,
but we've been talking about it for a month on here. And I really think I'm excited for the resource library and the things we'll have so people can kind of customize what they are really looking for help with. The workshops will be on there. So many added features, as well as just the accountability of showing up. We really want to encourage people to find their focus on what they're doing, show up, and like make sure progress happens with their books.
yeah, it's not going to be some kind of obligatory lecture or anything like that. We're setting up once a month. We'll do goal setting, so we'll get together and say, "What are your goals for the month?" And we'll encourage each other in order to get there. We're going to do those writing sprints, which I'm really looking forward to because I told you I joined the London Writers Salon, but I only did their free trial. And so now when 7 o'clock comes around, I'm like, shoot, it's just so helpful just to have the Zoom on and to
Yeah,
do that. So it's going to be helpful for me when we're doing those because I'm going to be drafting my own novel, and it'll be nice too to actually set some goals because I've been working on this since January. I've been drafting it, and I only work about 2 days a week on it. So I'm only up to chapter 5, maybe 20,000 words. It's going to take me a while. So I need it as much as anyone, just to keep me on track and make sure that I set aside that time because it's so easy to say, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I just don't have time or the mindset to get into it.
Yeah, and we're really going to take everyone through the process of not just saying like, oh, we're showing up for an hour in writing. We have resources that are going to help you set like specific writing goals to then assess and audit yourself. Are you making progress? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Have you been researching for the last year? You're not actually doing the writing. Like, progress will be made, and it's going to help people, I feel like, so much get through um the whole process itself with intention. That's really, I think, like the kind of the focus is helping people know what they're doing, show up for it when they have time, or if they can't show up live, like, you know, watching replays and stuff, and just being a part of the sense of community as well, and celebrating each other's wins along the way.
Yeah, and we're here just to set it up and to be a guide, but it's really going to be our writers who are showing up and working together and finding their own little cohorts.
Absolutely. And we're going to have a really fun kind of bookish club without having to read the book, that will bring kind of what we're inspired out of the books to share with you and help you utilize that information to strengthen your, you know, business sense as an author, your writing process, a lot of different aspects with that as well. So, yeah, really looking forward to it launching.
Yeah, so look for an email about that. We'll post about it on Substack. We sent out a survey earlier. If you filled out our survey, we'll definitely be letting you know about that. Well, thanks, Melissa. This was fun and went quick. I'm glad we
It
got
did.
some questions from our audience. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. And if you have any other questions for us to answer, um, just reach out to us on Substack or anywhere you can find us, and we'd be happy to talk about it on our next office hours, which will be Friday, August 14th.
Yes. See everyone in a couple weeks.
All right. Have a good
Bye.
day.